So we invited you to come this afternoon. I recognize it's a Saturday afternoon, but I'm glad that you took the trouble to come over here today. As Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi is here in Bombay, and we thought it would be a good idea if there was an interaction with the press. All of us here who have been followers of Shri Mataji feel very strongly that the message of Shri Mataji, who is the founder of Sahajayoga, is a very important message, not only for India but for the whole world as such. And this is shown in practice. The persons you see over here, they are scientists, medical doctors, psychiatric doctors, businessmen, lawyers, diplomats, and who have achieved very considerably in their own lives. Now, the message of Sahajayoga has been going very far and deep in their own country. We have guests over here from the Soviet Union. And in the Soviet Union, in very recent months, Shri Mataji has been there 3 times. And her meetings have been attended by very senior people in their government, and thousands upon thousands of people. Over here, even as follow-up meetings after Shri Mataji has left the Soviet Union, some of our group members here who have been there, even there to their meetings, thousands of people coming. So it's a very important message that is going through. It's something which is very deep. We thought we would like to share it with you because we believe it's very important for India as well. It's important for our country. The times are such that Sahajayoga is very relevant, and almost everybody here has something very special to relate. I don't think there's time for everybody, but we do have a number of people who are Sahajyogis, who are either scientists or others, who may talk to you for a few minutes and come to and give you their experiences. In the press, we read all kinds of things. We get news about so many things. And that's the reason it's one of the main means by which we communicate in the mass. And if there's something good to communicate, if there's something positive, something that has a relevance, something that will has a future in which things are going to change, something which has very many interesting facets to it, I believe it would be interesting to you as well. And that's why we requested you to come this afternoon. We have Shri Mataji's own work for the last 20 years, where, as the handout might be there, but as you, if I may please introduce just very briefly, that Shri Mataji was born in the Salve family in 1923. Shri Mataji has fought in the independence struggle. She's been jailed as a student leader, and thereafter been married to Mr. C.P. Srivastav of the IAS. Mr. Srivastav's career is very well known. He was in the IAS, rose, he became chairman and managing director of Shipping Corporation. Just prior to that, he was special secretary to Mr. Lal Bahadur Shastri when Mr. Shastri was prime minister. And in the last 16 years, he has been Secretary General of United Nations Agency on Shipping, and living in London. Both he and Shri Mataji, their main residence has been in London. And each 4 years, this is an elected post. It's not a post where you have, India has any right on it. It could be anybody in the world could be elected to this post. And each 4 years, he's been elected unanimously. He's just completed 16 years there and earned many trophies, many medals and recognition from more than 30 or 40 countries. But in the last 20 years, Shri Mataji has been coming out and talking about Sahajayoga, and slowly the people have recognized around her. And today Sahajayoga has spread to more than 30 or 40 countries. Shri Mataji's message is about the recognition of one's own potential, one's own energy inside. And it actually happens. It's not just a talk. It's also totally related to what has been written in our Shastras from beforehand. That there is a primordial energy, that there is its reflection within ourselves, that's called the Kundalini. The Kundalini is of the form of the mother within one, and in the presence of Shri Mataji or her photograph, the Kundalini rises and you have the actual experience yourself. You feel silence within one. It's a complete sort of happiness, total awareness. You feel a cool breeze in your hands, a cool breeze on your head. Now, this is an actual experience of thousands and tens of thousands of people, not only in India but all over. It's possible today, if you like, and if we request Shri Mataji, maybe you could also have it. But perhaps it might be a good idea to invite some of our friends here to give a talk for a few minutes, if Shri Mataji, if you permit.
Now, I think I will ask Dr. Rai, because he actually was very successful in a neurologist meeting there in Russia. Not only that, but I mean, he was amazed the way the neurologist saw the point and understood the working of the parasympathetic and all that. So I would like him to say a few words first of all. Now, yeah, he was head of the physiology department, Delhi University.
Ladies and gentlemen, you see, first I would like to introduce myself. I have been a professor and head of the Department of Physiology at Maulana Azad Medical College. Then I was the chief of the Physiology Department at Jipmer, Pondicherry. And recently I was the chief of the Department of Physiology and also medical superintendent of the Lady Harding Medical College and the Suchita Kriplani Hospital. Now, first I would like to tell you that how I came into Sahaja Yoga. Now, I listened to the talk of Shri Mataji in 1984, and as Mr. Rajesh Shah has told you, that in the presence of Mother, the Kundalini of a person awakens and he gets the experience of a cool breeze. Now, all the persons present in the hall got the experience of the cool breeze, but unfortunately I had a little doubt in my mind, as many persons initially have. So I very humbly requested Shri Mataji that, Mother, I would like to do some research work because I would like to find out whether actually one gets a feeling of the cool breeze, or it is simply a subjective feeling, or he told me earlier also, it might be due to hypnosis or other thing. So I took the permission of Shri Mataji into my university faculty meeting, and I told them that I want to work on Sahaja Yoga and to establish whether one gets a cool breeze or not. There was a little opposition in the faculty meeting because they wanted to work more on fundamental aspects, but ultimately seeing that yoga is very important and one must know what happens, you see, when a yoga is done in the body, the university agreed on it and got it recognized as a subject for research. Now, two of my students, you see, I took one student who did a doctorate on Sahaja Yoga philosophy, and he tried to find out that what are the physiological effects of the Kundalini awakening by Sahaja Yoga. That was the first thesis done. It was presented, scrutinized by the examiners, foreign as well as outsiders, and Dr. Sethi, who was my student, got the degree of doctorate in physiology, in medicine, on this subject. Another student, Dr. Chug, is here. He was my student, postgraduate student, and he has also been given the degree of Doctor of Medicine on Sahaja Yoga. His work was on the role of Sahaja Yoga in the treatment of psychosomatic diseases. So these were the two theses, and they were very highly credited by the examiners. And in Lady Harding Medical College, we also started giving Sahaja Yoga to the patients, you see, for the treatment of psychosomatic diseases. Because of the first discovery, you see, the physiological effects, we found that one is doing a Sahaja Yoga, you see, there are the changes, profound changes in the body which occur and which are very important, you see, for their utility for the human beings. Because in modern age, you see, you find what happens is that we are going into stress and strain of life. If you read, you see, the medical literature, you find people say that it is the psychological stress which is responsible for increasing incidence of hypertension, in most of the Western countries, developing countries, as well as the developed countries. And we found by our first thesis, you see, which work was done, that this could be very important. If a person practices Sahaja Yoga, the stress factor can be managed very nicely. Because all the parameters you see for testing whether a person is in a state of stress, tension or anxiety, or he is in a relaxed state were done, and we found that a person who did Sahaja Yoga only for 20 minutes a day, you see, in about 3 to 4 months' time, there were changes in the blood, there were changes in the heart, there were changes in the electroencephalograph, there were changes in the muscle activity, and the changes in the neurotransmitter. One of the very important neurotransmitter, adrenaline, you see, which is produced by the stimulation of the sympathetic nervous system. When you are anxious, you see, you are in tension, what happens is there is greater pouring of adrenaline in your body, and as a result of which your heartbeat increases, you see, and you find there is a muscle, you see, blood lactic acid increases, and persons, if they are having accumulated stress for years together, you develop various types of cardiovascular disorders, like essential hypertension is one, ischemic heart disease is another, and even arrhythmias. So we try to find out that how we try to do it on the patients. And that is how the work of Dr. Chu started, you see. And we did the work on patients, and we took two groups, you see. We took the patients with the hypertension as well as bronchial asthma. Bronchial asthma also has got a psychological factor in it, a stress factor. We took these two groups, and to our surprise, we found it gave a dramatic effect. 98%, if I am correct, you see the patients of hypertension improved, and then they were without drugs on follow-up, and they had no way. The other group, which was simply on drugs, was not cured, you see, and they were getting, you see, their blood pressure was very high. And so we concluded that if a person is doing Sahaja Yoga regularly, then you find the essential hypertension can be treated, and the persons who are prone to essential hypertension, you see, that can be prevented. And similarly in bronchial asthma, you see, we found that was very, very helpful. Now after this, you see, we recently went to Russia, you see, and in Russia, you see, I attended a conference in Yalta, and the conference was very good because the role was there, it was on the yoga and self-regulation. And this was organized by the people of non-traditional medicine. In Russia also people want that they are fed up with the drugs, and they want that there should be a system of medicine, you see, which may be non-traditional, and they found that yoga is very good. So many types of yogic were there, you see, TM people were there, Rajnishites were there, you see the Brahma Kumaris were there, magnetotherapy were there, so many there. But in the end of the conference, you see, they were convinced that Sahaja Yoga is one of the best, and it is the scientific work has been done, it has been proved statistically that, you see, the person who is doing Sahaja Yoga is able to regulate his brain activity. You see, as Mother has told, you see, when one is doing Sahaja Yoga, you are in balance. The activity of the sympathetic and parasympathetic, this is modulated, and you are in a balance, and that is how, when a person is doing Sahaja Yoga, your diseases are automatically cured. More so, they are prevented. If a normal person is doing, you can prevent the occurrence of disease. So, in Yalta conference was very nice. Then in Moscow we had another conference, and there too it was a conference on yoga and sports. And I told them, if a person, you see there what happens in sports, you see they are also in great tension, because finding out that they should be able to keep the time, you see, and they should win in it and all those things. So I told them, if a person is doing Sahaja Yoga, you see, they will be able to manage the stress factor which is there. And again, you see, it also, because it acts at the level of the limbic system, you see, it might help in the efficiency as well. Then I gave a talk in the Institute of Neurology at Leningrad. You see, it's one of the very famous institutes there. They do a lot of operations. And they requested me to give a talk because they said they are also very much affected by the hypertension. Because what happens, tension is there, many people develop hypertension. So they said, we want to do it. And they took the realization. And 90% people, doctors who were there, they got the realization. Now, another thing which we are doing in Delhi nowadays is the effect of Sahaja Yoga on epilepsy. So they got very much interested to do work on epilepsy because the grand mal epilepsy can have no treatment. And the drugs which are given, they are to be given for the whole life. So they said it would be a very good idea if Dr. Rai, you could get this thing done here. And we are thinking, they have signed rather a project also, where we will go and give them the initiation, Sahaja Yoga, their patients, and they will try also to find out that what is the result. In Delhi, we are doing it in collaboration with the Defense Institute of Physiology and Allied Sciences. The results are very good. We are finding that the attacks, you see, of epilepsy are decreasing when a person is doing Sahaja Yoga. So, and then you see, we had also did some public lectures. And as Rajesh Shah told you just now, you see about 1,500 to 2,000 people were attending the lectures, and there were requests from many places that many centers may be opened. We have already got a center at Leningrad, Moscow, Kiev, and Sochi. There are the 4 places where the centers are there, but they wanted center at Tashkent, Yalta, Novosibirsk in Siberia, and so on. So there was a very good response, and the people think there that this could be one of the non-traditional system of medicine in Russia. They are very much. You see, the Ministry of Education, we had a meeting with them, and there I think the Deputy Minister was very much interested, and he said, Dr. Rai, can it help it in the development of the children? Can it help at the rehabilitation centers? I said, certainly. Because, you see, as a physiologist, I know that if the actualization of the Kundalini takes place at the level of the limbic system, which affects the behavior of a person, naturally it is going to be very successful. Because the behavior of the children, you see, in the orphanages, you see, is a little different. So, if they do it and practice, it comes down to a normal level. So, they are thinking of doing a research on this as well. Similarly, in other schools also they want it, because it can also increase the creativity in children because of the connections of the limbic system with the frontal lobe. You find the children who are doing Sahaja Yoga, they excel in their performance. This is our own experience, Mother. At Delhi, we have seen some of the children who are very poor and who are coming to the centers and doing this. They stood first in their classes. Now, remarkable. This is all because of the creative power, you see. When the children are doing it, you see their Kundalini gets awakened. You see your frontal lobe is also stimulated, which is the seat for the higher intellectual activity. So we find that this is Sahaja Yoga. You see, Mother has discovered it. She is the founder of the science of Sahaja Yoga. And I think it is a unique yoga and the best yoga which the human mankind can have today. The drug problem, you see, which is there, can also be solved by this. You see, the people are taking drug. Why they take drug? It is because of the tension, because of certain problems, emotional problems, other problems are there. So if one starts doing it, all these things will improve. I know persons, you see, by my experience, you see, that they have left smoking, they have left alcohol. Persons who have been taking alcohol all their life, now they don't touch it. They say, if I can't touch it even if you offer them. So if such things can happen, I think it is a wonderful thing and best for the mankind. Similarly, you see, so much as I told you earlier, the ischemic heart disease, the heart attacks. Now the doctors all over the world know that it is the psychological stress which is responsible for increasing even the blood cholesterol level. Recently, you see, in the last 2 years, people have found it out, and that is the cause of the atherosclerosis. Another thing what they have found recently is that this psychological stress, emotional stress, can cause a spasm of your coronary vessels, and thereby can give rise to a heart attack and sudden death, Mother. Now, all these things can be prevented, you see, if a person is doing Sahaja Yoga every day for, say, about 10 to 15 minutes. So it is very nice. It is a life. I say Sahaja Yoga, if you have a Sahaja Yoga lifestyle, I think you can prevent the heart diseases. So, Mother, this is what I think is there. If any questions are there, more welcome to ask.
Now, I would request Dr. Wells, who is in charge of 7 hospitals in London, is luckily with us, and he will tell you how he has cured patients with Sahajayoga who suffered.
Shri Mataji. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Wells. I'm a consultant psychiatrist in the Riverside Health Authority in London, and I subspecialize in the field of substance misuse, which is problems with drugs and alcohol. I'm going to be very brief. My own experience of Sahajayoga began in 1982, and I was very skeptical. I was a very cautious Westerner who was very wary of things that were Indian. And I have to say that since 1982, my own life has changed dramatically as a result of the, albeit originally very gradual practice of Sahajayoga, and my own health, my own career, my own well-being has improved enormously. Professionally, I work particularly with heroin addicts. I have to say that I have never seen heroin addicts improve, give up drugs, and experience a well-being and a joyfulness like the people who we have in Sahajayoga, who come into Sahajayoga, and they give up their drugs and experience a whole different way of living, a whole different attitude, which is based on these very fundamental principles as taught by Shri Mataji. It's not a form of treatment that is widely used in the West, but it's beginning to spread. Similarly, a number of people in Sahajayoga had very serious alcohol problems when they arrived. These people are now completely alcohol-free, living very balanced, very normal, and very spiritual lives. My own addiction to nicotine was terminated gradually as I came into Sahajayoga, and I found that gradually it became unnecessary to smoke cigarettes, and it became important to be healthy, to be the right weight, to be a balanced person, to be married with children, leading a normal, healthy life. My own interests in human well-being have moved beyond addiction, and I've been very fortunate in being able to travel to Finland and to the United States this year, largely to present the work of Dr. Deepak Chugh that has already been referred to by the professor. In Finland, we presented his work at a physiology conference, which was full of very skeptical Western scientists who are interested in atoms, molecules, enzymes, and I stood up on stage and the audience thought I was a little bit crazy talking about Sahajayoga and its effects on hypertension. But as I talked, it became clear that actually the results of Sahajayoga are very spectacular indeed. The people who practice Sahajayoga after 16 weeks were on no medication at all, and their blood pressure had come down from a very high and dangerous level to a very acceptable level. And the people in the audience had to notice this and came up afterwards and were impressed. And as a result of their suggestions, Dr. Chugh is now publishing his work in the international medical press. A few weeks ago, I was in Boston, and we presented this work again at a huge conference of American chest and cardiothoracic medicine. And again, we stimulated a great deal of interest because, as Professor mentioned, a lot of people are now interested in ways of treating blood pressure, treating chest diseases with methods that do not involve the use of medication. And Sahajayoga is something that's considered unusual by many Western-trained doctors. But the results that Dr. Chugh has achieved are indeed very spectacular. And we now have a number of very eminent researchers in the United States and in Europe who are interested in comparing the effects of Sahajayoga against drug treatment and against other forms of relaxation therapy. So from my own standpoint, Sahajayoga is the best treatment I know for addiction of all kinds, whether it's addiction to drugs, to alcohol, tobacco, to food, or to other forms of behavior. It's a system of becoming balanced, becoming healthy, and becoming whole. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Shri Mataji.
What should we have now? We have so many doctors here. You see, Dr. Talwar is here. He is from Delhi. Then we have Dr. Chuk. We have other doctors of scientists here. And we have here on this side Dr. Nigam and Dr. Bagdan, is a Russian, and Dr. Spino from England. So please come. हम सब लोग खड़े हो जाए तो ठीक. It's better you all stand up here. Just let us say. आप एक थोड़े में कह दीजिएगा.
All the doctors.
All the doctors should stand up together. We have minimized their number just to make you understand that. This is Dr. Pepe from Spain. Then we have Sarah Sachin from England. Come along. There are 7 doctors in England who are doing this research there in England. And also there's a research going on in the Cambridge University, but by Dr. Derek Lee. He's also here. Luckily they are here, so that's why I wanted to have the meeting today.
Shri Mataji, we have so many illuminatory sort of individuals here, but we are all at your feet in collectivity. I'd just like to say a couple of things. Of course, we have all experiences to share, otherwise probably would not have been in Sahaja Yoga. If you want to see an example of an essential hypertension patient in a medical person, I am an example standing in front of you. It's 5 years ago since I gave up drugs, and blood pressure is quite normal. I can tell you that because no doctor spares me to take my blood pressure from time to time, because they're completely enamored with the factor as how it could occur. There's no answer for it. Sometimes, Shri Mataji, when we hear people talking about blind faith, I wonder how people can talk about blind faith when they're blind themselves. To be able to understand subtlety of life, one has to have the actual experience. Unless we get the actual experience of self-realization on our own central nervous system, I don't think anybody has a right to ask for any proofs, because no proof can be given on equipments which are not properly functioning. Now, for that purpose, with due apology, Shri Mataji, I would like to point out, because it seems to be sensationalization when individuals want individual proofs from people who have gone through the experience. I'd like them to come forth and take the experience of self-realization, feel the whole process on their own central nervous system, and then I think they would have a right to ask for proofs, if any is required by them. My whole family, I may tell you, we were, shall we say, a zoo of some sort of problems. My wife was with crippling arthritis, and my son suffered from severe migraine. My daughter-in-law had problems with bronchial asthma. And by the grace of Shri Mataji, by the introduction of these Sahaj techniques, practices in our daily life, we have all got rid of our problems. As a clinical practitioner in medicine, as a medical specialist, I can say one thing. There are lots of things which cannot be proved in a laboratory, but which is the better proof? The person whose ailment disappears, or the records of a laboratory. I leave it up to you, gentlemen. There are so many doctors to follow. I wouldn't like to say anything more, but this is just to let you have a feel that there's much more to life than what is visible in the 3 dimensions that we are aware of. Thank you. Thank you, Shrimati.
You could say about the parasympathetic nervous system a little bit. You want to say that, or what you saw? Because you see, it's sounding like magic to them. Better to tell them what works it out, isn't it?
About the parasympathetic and
yes, I
chakras.
will see how the Kundalini works and how it supplies this thing. Of course, you'll get the little paper to see what is actually, how it works out. To see also, you should know, because it may sound like a magic to you. It's not magic. It's no magic at all. This power is within us, which rises, actually rises. In some people, you can even see the pulsation of the triangular bone. And you actually see it, rising it. In some people, not all of us. Some people. Where there's obstruction, you can see it clear. But some people just, it shoots off. And then you can yourself feel the cool breeze on your head, you can feel the cool breeze on your hands. But everybody doesn't get it. There could be some people who don't get it. There are some people who didn't get it for about, I think, say for 2 months, 3 months, but they got it, ultimately. But you have to keep your mind open, as any scientist has to. Just to deny something, to say there is no God, is unscientific. You have not found it out whether there is God or not. So keep it as a hypothesis and see for yourself. If it is not there, if you have found out it is not there, it's all right. But you have not yet found it. So just to deny something is not scientific at all. So these are all scientists we have here. Dr. Nigam is here. All of them are here. And you see how Sahajayoga. Now, you see, this is how I'm asking Dr. Spiro to just tell you how the Kundalini rises, passes through different centers, and how it pierces through the last one here, and what is the result, ultimate result of it, which he'll tell you in short. So you will know that it's no magic. It's just like a sprouting of the seed. Simple thing is that. But as you cannot manifest that, you cannot manifest it normally, unless and until you have the Mother Earth or you have the Holy Mother. I think you can't do it. That's the only point.
So, in brief, the hypothesis that we have in Sahajayoga is that at the base of the spine, at the level of the sacrum bone, there is a vital energy which we call Kundalini. And during the process of Sahajayoga, this energy is awakened and rises. Now, one doesn't have to have any special depth or experience in order to know that something is happening, because as Shri Mataji has just mentioned, in many cases one can actually see it with the naked eye. So that's not something that one has to take on trust. There's a very simple observation one can make for that, for saying that something is happening which is outside of our normal physiology. It's not something that's explained by the usual physiology that we understand. Now, the nervous system is divided, for purposes of this, we can take 3 main divisions. The right and the left sympathetic, and in the center is what the parasympathetic nervous system, and these 3 together form the autonomic nervous system. Now, this autonomic nervous system is collected in what in medicine we call plexuses, but in terms of yoga we call chakras, which are arranged in the body. And both the right and the left sympathetic contribute elements towards each of these plexuses. So if I can just use my hands, it's like that. So the right and the left each form a plexus. Okay, thanks. So in the normal situation, one is just using the 2 sympathetic sides, right and left. And so there's a tendency for that central part to be reduced because there's activity on the left or the right, and it pulls it a little bit. So in that way, the plexus, or the chakra, if you like, is being constricted. And that means that there is less energy able to flow through the central channel. What happens in Sahajayoga is that this process is reversed because the central channel becomes active for the first time. Rather than being a potential source of energy, it becomes actual. And so the tendency is for the plexus to dilate. So, as Professor Rai has already said, through the practice of Sahajayoga, the nervous system achieves a balance, allowing the vital energy of the body to express itself, and at each level of each chakra this happens. So the organs at that level are nourished, and it's in this way that diseases are cured. Not that one necessarily needs to even try and cure the diseases, it happens automatically.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shri.
We have so many doctors here, and now I would say that, see, this, I also had to study medicine to talk to them, and I also read a little bit of psychology, because to talk to them I must use their terminology. But all this knowledge is within yourself. We know very little about it, because a very little part, a wee part of our brain is really manifesting in a human awareness. You see. When the Kundalini rises, actually we have two lobes, we don't have one lobe. So there are two sides to our personality. When the Kundalini rises, she enlightens the brain, and then you start knowing many more things which you have never known. For example, I'll ask Karan Khurana to come. He was a very ordinary student here who went down to America, and one day he just asked me a question on genetics. So genetics is a very modern science, but he was amazed and just bata do.
I want to share just a small glimpse of Shri Mataji's brilliant knowledge, because so many people have spoken about Sahaja Yoga and its brilliant effects. And during the past 7 years, I've been a student at the University of California in San Diego. And I've had a chance to attend many lectures in biochemistry and genetics and immunology. And at the end of all the knowledge that is to be shared by the professors in these brilliant universities, they all come to the same point, and they say, we cannot play the role of God, so we cannot give you all the knowledge. About 1 year ago, I was with Shri Mataji at her home, and during that time, she was explaining about how how the knowledge is revealed. And I asked her about a question on the genetic effects and how AIDS comes about, and how on the genetic level we can go about researching on AIDS. She spoke about how copper has an effect on AIDS, and how in the body, due to accumulation of copper, there is a mutagenic effect, especially when it accumulates in certain specific parts of the body like liver. And how if that replacement of copper takes place with a higher element like zinc, with platinum and with gold, then that mutagenic effect will not take place. Also, she spoke about enzymology and how when an enzyme interacts with a substrate, it can cleave, for example, in a substrate, the phosphate bond, and reveals the iodine, which then gives a color effect. And this is a tool that is used worldwide in diagnostic assays and diagnostic tests as a clinical tool. She spoke about how this effect is enhanced, and it is very necessary for a double positive metal ion to be present. Otherwise, this reaction cannot take place. Scientifically, we don't understand how this reaction takes place by the enzymes. But when she revealed this, I went back to California and I had a discussion with one of the top scientists in enzymology, Dr. Muzaffar Iqbal. He is a professor from Oxford University who has been there for 20 years and is the top authority on enzymology. And when I spoke to him about this divalent cations that Shri Mataji had spoken about, and how we can use this for enhancing the stability and the interaction and reactions of these enzymes, he immediately did some experiments, and he found that we could actually stabilize these enzymes by the effect of these divalent cations like magnesium and manganese. And we found that at 50 degrees temperature, these enzymes stayed stable for 3 days, which is an absolute revolution. And these enzymes have to be stored at 2 to 8 degrees at all times for it to have any interaction or any stability. Also, ever since she spoke about the effects of copper and how AIDS is related, we have many scientists who have been doing research in this field. And just 3 weeks ago, I attended a lecture by Dr. Saltman, who is a leader in this field. And he explained how these metal ions have mutagenic effects. And this is something Shri Mataji spoke about a year ago. So this knowledge is definitely there with Shri Mataji, and she chooses to speak about it very rarely. But those moments are very much cherished by us, because this is knowledge of the future. This is modern science. And she's had it forever, I think.
Thank you very much. Now, there's another, I see now the point he has brought it, that through Sahajayoga, I can give you a future plan as to how to make research in what direction. So I would request Dr. Varlikar, who came for your scientific research conference you had, and he was one of the 5 speakers here, and he'll tell you about what I told him about carbon atom and just how he'd have researched and found out. So, I mean, I can give them a lead to find out what I'm saying, if it is true or not. But one has to be, you see, these are scientists of a very high degree and high level, and they have reached a point where they want to see what is beyond this. And that should be there. Otherwise, with mediocrity, you cannot enter into this area. So you have to have that sharpness about it. And this is what Dr. Varlikar, who has been, he was one of the scientists who spoke here in your conference, one of the 5 scientists.
Shri Mataji, ladies and gentlemen, she has introduced me that I have been in United States for last 18 years. I have done my PhD from University of Bombay with a very eminent scientist called Dr. K.S. Nargun, who spent 10 years while working with a Nobel Prize winner Thorpe in London. After doing medicinal chemistry PhD in anti-tuberculosis compounds, I had an opportunity to go to United States, where I did work with a scientist called Dr. H. Herbert Fox, who invented INH as a drug for tuberculosis. So having been exposed to good scientists, and when you do PhD in your life, more you study, more you realize how little you know. And that's what I was all the time thinking in my life, is I wanted a direct connection with all-pervading power. So since my childhood, I did Atharvashit to Lord Ganesha. All the Maharashtrians, I'm Maharashtrian. Since my childhood, I started worshipping Lord, and Aradhya Devat was Lord Ganesha. Every time I would do Atharvashisha, I would feel every day there is something beyond this. And I was looking for some guru who could connect me to all-pervading power. In 1981, Shri Mataji came to United States, and I was blessed by her. She raised my Kundalini, whereby all the deities were invoked, and a different life started after having realized by Her Holiness Sri Mataji Nirmala Devi. My life took a different turn, and then she has blessed me with a special blessing called enlightened attention. When you raise your Kundalini, the divine powers of Parvati, all the deities on our chakra, there are 7 chakras in our body. The last chakra is Sahasrara chakra, of which she is Swamini. By doing Lord Ganesha's worship, the chakras up to Hamsa chakra get manifested. You get power of discretion, but once you get realized and the Kundalini is awakened, the power of Parvati awakened, integration of all the chakras takes place. They work very, very pronouncedly, and the vibrations you feel in the form of cool breeze on your fontanel bone and on your hands, on your palms, indicates the existence of all-pervading power. Now, when you do meditation, a lot of doctors here mentioned to you about Sahajayoga. What is Sahajayoga is spontaneous union with all-pervading power. Now, once you raise your Kundalini to a point where my hand is up, it's called Valaya. All the incarnations come up to Valaya. The human beings have to reach incarnations at that point. So, there is a need for every human being to get realized do meditations day in and day out, raise your kundalini, get connected to all-pervading power, then you realize that Guru is the pure source of knowledge. I have read lots and lots of books in chemistry. I was a professor of organic chemistry in University of Bombay, affiliated college, Ram Niranjan Junjunwala College. I was teaching in Adarsh Science Institute, where I taught students who have failed at inter-science in those days, and my students could become doctors and engineers after attending a one-year course which we are teaching in a private institution. I have taught in Agarwal's classes for IIT entrance exam, where students who have stood first in SSC, second, used to attend a lecture, and 800 students used to come all over India, and they used to stand from Agarwal's classes, where the maximum high-level education was imparted to them, and from that institution, 30 students, first 30 students used to be from Agarwal's classes. What I'm trying to tell you is, before getting realized, there was a particular shape of my life. But after meeting her, I went to completion. Once you are connected to all-pervading power, why I brought the subject of, I was a professor of organic chemistry, I had a habit of reading most of the time books written by Nobel Prize winners. From UC Berkeley, Mahan's book was good for stoichiometry. It's a chapter, one chapter, and I would read 10 different books from foreign authors who had one time or other acquired Nobel Prize. I used to get thrilled, and I used to, as a magnanimity of scholarship, share everything with my students. And with high-level students, my level used to go high. And I studied at a very high level electronic theory of valency, which after getting realized from mother, I found a different dimension, that you are given things if you are having enlightened attention. What I thought, I don't know, I don't see a picture which we call Virata, where all the 7 chakras are presented to the audience, where you can clearly visualize the 7 chakras in every human body, starting with Muladhara chakra. Now, yes, that's correct. Yeah, you have a... So, I was attending a Guru Puja in Santa Cruz and was concentrating on the Muladhara chakra, where we have 4 plexus to Muladhara chakra, which is considered to be Lord Ganesha's chakra, seat for Lord Ganesha. Now what I did is, while doing meditation, I was directly connected, and I was given a inspiration that I should depict that chakra in 3 dimensions. If you see the Muladhara chakra in the Virata there picture, it is only swastika there.
It is below the Kundalini.
So what I did is, by the blessing of enlightened attention she had bestowed on me, we made a 3-dimensional structure of carbon atom, being an organic chemist, and then used the electronic theory of valency to formulate the valencies of carbon atom on modern basis. Just in one short sentence, I could say that the structure of atom was proposed by Danish physicist Niels Bohr, who got a Nobel Prize for that. And he discussed the movement of electrons, which have speed of light around the nucleus, and gave a mathematical expression for hydrogen spectrum as a proof, single electron atom. And then he got a Nobel Prize. His theory of orbit became obsolete when we came into Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, where you cannot predict the position of a moving body. So currently we consider orbital theory. The position of any moving body cannot be predicted. Therefore, we consider a area in space space where you can locate the electron. Now I have an article, Mother asked me to put the thoughts.
I think his article is there.
Yeah, there is an
I told him
article
how
on
it
cosmic
discovered.
relation of swastika and Om. Now what I did is made a tetrahedral structure of carbon atom, put carbon in the center, and considered the latest orbital theory of movement of electron in space. And in that, I considered carbon has 4 electrons, one in a 2s orbital, which is spherical, and 3 electrons in the dumbbell-shaped orbital, which is in x, y, and z axis. The 2pz orbital is vacant, no electron there, but in the excited state, 1 electron from 2s goes to 2pz, and then to an ordinary person, when you think ordinarily, you will find 3 energy levels of those 3 electrons should be same, and 1 in 2s in a lower energy is different. So it bothered me as a student of organic chemistry that carbon should have 3 equal valencies and 1 weak valency. And that's something we could discuss somewhere else. Let me just concentrate on what I did. So we made an actual tetrahedral structure and took the advantage of modern theory of electron valency and considered orbital theory. What I found when I was putting my enlightened attention, let me tell you the significance of enlightened attention. When you raise your kundalini and put your attention on the kundalini, your attention gets enlightened. If you put it on any unknown thing, that thing reveals its true nature. So you're given things when you are connected to all-pervading power. So I was putting my enlightened attention to this tetrahedral model of carbon atom, just trying to see the 4 valencies of carbon in space, considering the orbital theory. I had a computer scientist help me from Belgium, Johan, and another Sahajyogi from Chicago, Boston. And he made the tetrahedral structure, and me and Johan used to sit at my house in Los Angeles and put our attention on that model, trying to see Om. I would see 3, but I wouldn't see the upper residual valency. And we used to put a lot of enlightened attention, meditation. Sahajayoga practices is nothing else but every day you do meditation. Now what we found with the enlightened attention, what I found, that one of the valency was not properly done by J, because he just made all 4 dumbbell-shaped orbitals. He forgot to do sp3 hybridization, where all the 4 spheres, orbitals, rearrange themselves. It's called sp3 hybridization, where we call 1 electron in s orbit and 3 in p orbital. After I did that sp3 hybridization, I could clearly see the residual valency of the Om. From the end view, see, I was a student of technical school, Robert Money Technical School, so I said, let me take a look at this model from
the left.
From the left.
If you see from the left, the right, I told them we'll see Om, and they saw it.
Yeah. So from the left, I saw Om. Now I said, let me see from the right, what do I see? And I saw swastika. Same 3-dimensional figure. You can see Om from one side and swastika from other side. And I was amazed to see that the correlation, I call it cosmic correlation between Om and swastika. And then I met Shri Mataji in Houston. She was visiting USA. And she said, did you take a look at your tetrahedral model from the bottom? And I said, no, Shri Mataji, I haven't. She said, if you take a look to your tetrahedral model from the bottom, I'm sure you will see cross. So I returned from Texas to my house in Los Angeles, and to my surprise, when I took a look at the tetrahedral model I had made from the bottom, it it gave cross sign. It depicted cross. So you see how they are coordinated with each other. This was possible because of enlightened attention that was bestowed on me by Shri Mataji. Now, what I have to say is Om, as you know, Pranava, the sound of creation, is represented by, when we write it on 2 dimensions, we write Om. Actually, Om is a 3-dimensional depiction of the sound of creation. And Swastika is the 2-dimensional depiction of Om. It is hard to see this difference when we write Om and Swastika side by side on a blackboard, let us say, which we call 2-dimension. So I have been a student of science all throughout my life, and I had kept open mind when she came to Los Angeles in 1981. 1986, I was speaking on the event of her birthday. I told everybody that you people are in India, you are lucky. You could get your realization and you will have a different dimension to your life. I had to go all the way to America to get realization.
And I would like Dr. Mishra to tell you something about the soul, because there's always a challenge about soul and dead soul and this and that. And whatever I told long time back, how now they have discovered that it exists. I'm just trying to show you, because this is a unique thing. And as he says that he had to go to America, but only in America they will understand it, not in India. I know this.
Why not in India?
You see, because you have to reach that state of, I should say, of search. See, they have reached you see here, our heritage is spirituality, not science. But in America it is science. So they have reached to the end of it, you see. Sort of they have reached to the end of everything, extremes. So scientists there start looking back. While ours is, we can understand it much faster because our heritage is this. Our heritage is true spiritual. But as scientists, it's only the West they will understand. They have reached to the end of it, you see. So they see it much faster. Like as he said it in Russia. Russian scientists are of a very high level. You know, they have, one fellow gave me a book on the mathematical calculation of Sri Chakra. And he came and asked me, then I told him about Sri Chakra and all that. He was amazed. He said, nobody knows this in India, how is it? I said, we are still running after you scientists. You see, still we are trying to work. But you see, science itself, you know, has to be balanced with other things like humanity. Because science itself is very broad. Now, the science also can take advantage of Sahajayoga, as Doctor has told you. Now, what Sahajayoga has done is to bridge the gap between the spirituality, of the true spirituality, the knowledge of spirituality, and the science, as they have done it. So, I would like one more doctor to tell you, Dr. Mishra, I asked him to write your degree, so he wrote so many. So now, I don't know, he will tell you about the soul, what I said. Whatever I have said, they could prove it. So this is something, the way they have bridged it, you see. But the kind of patience they have, the kind of respect they have, we don't have that so far, about scientific way. If there's a scientist in India, he won't have that much of openness. It's a fact, I tell you. But we have some scientists here from India also.
Shri Mataji and fellow colleagues. My name is Ram Mishra, and I did my undergraduate medical degree in New Orleans, Louisiana, followed by a doctorate in biochemistry at Memorial University in Canada. Currently, I'm professor of psychiatry, director of neuropsych pharmacology research laboratory, and consultant to NIMH, National Institute of Mental Health, United States, Medical Research Council of Canada, Ontario Mental Health Foundation, National Cancer Institute of Canada, NCI of United States. Now, I have been heavily engaged in research activities relating to cell membranes and the different types of the receptors. And in the last 4 or 5 years, it became very clear that the variety of drugs, variety of medicines, the drugs, the bad names sometimes, interact with the specific types of the receptors on the cells. For example, the antihypertensive drugs interact with the beta receptors, alpha receptors in the heart cells. Asthmatic drugs interact with the beta receptors in the lungs. The antipsychotic drugs, anti-schizophrenic drugs, anti-Parkinsonian drugs, anti-anxiety drugs, anti-Huntington's chorea drugs, they all interact with the set of the receptor. And when we looked at the structure of the receptors, now other scientists who already got the Nobel Prize discovered the beta receptors structure, and I was working on the dopamine receptor, which interacts with the neurotransmitters and the antipsychotic drugs. Now, what is common in all these receptors is that they always make a summon membrane loop. In other words, in the membranes, they're organized in such a way so you always have summon loops. Not 8, not 9, not 6, not 12. Always have summon. And when I was lecturing in the class, that these receptors make summon loops. They organize
7 loops
in such a fashion that they always make summon loops. Now, there are different kinds. There are 1,000 different kinds of receptors, but each one make a summon loop. And obviously, the MBBS student asked me the question, why there is summon loops? Why not 9? Why not 8? And I said I kept quiet actually, and then there was another student who said it has something to do with the God. So that was the actual answer. And fortunately, I met Shri Mataji in London one time and had a chance to show the diagrams and the pictures of the different types of the receptors. And you can also see yourself there are several types of the receptors on the sheet, from human, from bovine, from rat. And if you look very carefully, they always make the summon loops. If you look at the three-dimensional structures or the models, you can also see the summon rings in these receptors. Now, what is the significance of these summon rings? I think, to me, they look like they represent the mini chakras in each cell, and especially in the heart cells, they represent the soul. So after a person passes away or dies or whatever happens, these souls who represents in summon rings are released in the atmosphere. And it is possible for the Sahajyogis who practice Sahajayoga to see the unsatisfied cells in the sky. And in fact, when we were having a meeting in New York in July, Shri Mataji said that, look, those unsatisfied cells in New York City are wandering around in the sky. And in fact, we were able to see those black loops there. By the same token, you can also see the Chaitanya, the satisfied cells, like, souls, you see in the form of the Chaitanya.
Like, you see them like commas, shining commas.
Shining
Chaitanya.
commas. So that's the scientific proof. The other thing I want to share with you is a follow-up experiment. Actually, we did blindly. I didn't know Dr. Chuk before I came here, and he described his MD thesis while I met Shri Mataji in Guru Puja in Italy, and I took her permission to do a couple of experiments of my own in my own lab. And we didn't publish this study because it is still in the very preliminary state, but I can assure you that it will be published by blessings of Sri Mataji in the first-rate scientific journal in the United States. And the story is that we looked at the levels of the relaxing proteins called beta endorphins and enkephalins. Now, these are the proteins which try to take your pain away, try to make you relax, do a lot of other things in the human system. And when the levels of these protein goes down, you suffer from many, many things. Your blood pressure, your pain levels, your arthritis, and so on and so forth. Now, if you practice Sahajayogas, the levels of these beta endorphins and enkephalins actually goes up. They go up significantly compared to the other types of meditations like TM or Hatha Yoga or whatever. Now, the same question was asked to Dr. Chuk in his PhD thesis by the examiners, that have you looked at the levels of the beta endorphins? And what was your, I don't know what you replied to them that you haven't done it, but the answer was already there in our lab. See how the connections are made to find out the answer for the same question. Now, we have agreed that we'll measure the levels of these proteins in CSF from Indian Sahajyogis, from European Sahajyogis, from Americans and Canadians, and we'll see in the worldwide geographical distribution in all Sahajyogis, the levels of these proteins goes up. I think I should stop at this.
I would also request a diplomat from UN to talk what UN has to say about it, because it's important. We in our country do not know what we have, but the UN system itself has now accepted that spirituality is a part and parcel of a human being, and it must be looked after. And he will now tell you. This is Mr. Gregor de Calvertimaten from, he is a Swiss diplomat. We have another Swiss diplomat here. Where is she, Ruth? She's there sitting.
Thank you very much, Mataji. After all the previous speakers, I hesitate a little bit. I hesitate to talk because I have no expertise, neither scientific nor, as a matter of fact, in Sahaja Yoga, but I have been fortunate to practice Sahaja Yoga for about 15 years now. And what Shri Mataji just mentioned is that indeed Sahaja Yoga has been recognized by the Staff Recreational Council of the United Nations as a comprehensive meditation system which brings physical, emotional, mental benefits to staff members, and as such, this society is encouraging staff members to meditate according to Sahaja Yoga's technique. But if I might be a little bit more global and more general than the conversation, the very high-level presentation we have just heard now, I would like just to stress that at the United Nations, we are very, very concerned about the issues of global management of Mother Earth resources. And in the 90s, one of the very rising issues is going to keep a balance between development and ecology, between human activities and the resources which allow these activities to be sustained. You know that water is going to be a very big problem, just drinking water for the billions of people. In this respect, there was a World Bank paper which was saying that a long-term solution for mankind is only a change in consciousness, so that the human beings do not have any more the same material demand.
Change in consciousness, change in awareness. They hit at that point.
This was a paper of the World Bank on ecology, on the model of development, which long-term can allow all these human beings to survive on this planet. It's a very serious issue, because if you look at the projection, nobody really knows how to take care of these billions of people who are being born. And the solution was a change in consciousness. If people can be in a state of peace, can be in a state of satisfaction, their demand on the material environment automatically is going to drop, because a lot of what we produce is to meet artificial need, culturally created artificial needs. And the only solution to get into this condition of contented peace can be brought by an inner transformation. Now, the World Bank doesn't know about Sahaja Yoga yet, and that's why they said this is the only way to get out, but we don't know how to bring about this transformation. So as a staff member of the United Nations, I can see a very direct relevance of Sahaja Yoga to help us changing our attitudes if we are to leave our children and grandchildren a place we can live in.
You have also got meditation center for Sahajayoga in the UN now?
We have this society which has been created as of January 1990, and we hope that we start by, before we talk about world peace, we hope that, in good logic, we start becoming peaceful beings ourselves. and then there'll be less fight in one floor of the United Nations, and the work will be more carried more effectively. I forgot to present myself. My name is Grégoire de Calbert-Maten, and I am Chief of Policy Planning and Evaluation in United Nations Capital Development Fund, which invests projects in the least developed countries of the world. By the grace of Shri Mataji, I can say from my personal experience that the practice of Sahaja Yoga does introduce us in a state of consciousness which correspond to the definition of the state that collectively mankind should reach in order to develop a different type of society. This is a very general remark, but I suppose that it needed to be made because the managers of society today cannot address anymore the complexities of the challenge that are before us. And we need this higher level of guidance from inside that meditation gives us. And as Dr. Warlika said it before me, it is all a matter of enlightened attention, because then the solution just present themselves before us. And no amount of efficiency would allow us to get there where the vibrations of Sahaja Yoga lead us to the right solution, spontaneously. Shri Mataji, I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. There's another facet which one could see it works in Sahajayoga, is the agriculture. We haven't got Dr. Hamid just now here, he's gone away. I wish he was here because he has experimented with vibrated water. I have also shown the experiments in Pune, that I sowed about 60 kilos of rice in 1 acre of area, and we got about 1,400 kilos of such beautiful rice that I sent it to the university at Pune University in Rahuri, and they said they have never seen such rice. Then they came all the way to see what I was experimenting with. And also the sunflower we got was about, say, 2 feet at least minimum, and so full of big seeds. I mean, they never looked like the seed of the sunflower, and you had to, at least 2 persons had to lift it. It was so heavy. Now the main thing is we have not used hybrid seeds, because if you use hybrid seeds, you get you have to take them from some organization and sort of can be an enslavement. But this is non-hybrid seed, ordinary seeds. Once you vibrate them, now this is how we can increase our capacity to produce much more variety of crops. Also things like olives, they said will never grow, but I have grown that. Olives, lot of olives have grown. Then they said the tulips will not grow, I have grown them. All kinds of things that they said will never grow in Pune, and they are all growing very nicely. I just don't know how they said it cannot be grown. So all these things can be worked out. This is how a kind of a prosperity can come to our villages. But we have to be pragmatic about it, we have to be serious about it, and we have to help our poor people here. Now, another problem that always comes up with is that I think that some of the doctors are a little upset, thinking that if Sahajayoga comes up, what will happen to their practice? So I have already told them that I am not going to work for the rich people. I don't want to work for rich people. They can have the rich people to themselves. I want to work for poor people. In our country, people don't even have sufficient food to eat. How will they go for treatment or anything? But through Sahajayoga, en masse we work it, en masse. Even if there are 1,000 people in a group, or even 10,000 people, most of them will be benefited by Kundalini awakening. So why not we try to help the poor who don't have any money? And as a saint, I think every saint has only concern for the people who are suffering and who are poor, who are downtrodden. You see, the interest is not in the rich people at all. His interest is more in the people who need help. And this is the help of, I should say, God Almighty, because this is the power of God, which is all-pervading, which is very subtle, and which starts working through you. Once you are connected, just like you are connected, this instrument is connected to the mains, this starts working in the same way, you start working. And I would say that the doctors here should also, as other doctors have done it, should come round and see for themselves. We have some, as I told you, some Indian doctors working it out in Delhi. Also, we can do it in Bombay, we can help the poor people, and it will be such a great punya for us to help them. Because this country, you see, I mean, I don't know, I'm a bit too sensitive when I see this poverty. I just can't even enjoy my Sahajayoga, because I feel, when will they get all these things? They have to have it. And if we are concerned about these things, we don't run after superficial things. Of course, I agree that there have been false gurus. I agree that. And I would like one person to talk to you about TM, who was the head of the TM in Scotland and who was completely finished with it. So he is here. I have cured many people from TM, many people from TM. We have one person here from TM and also from Rajneesh. They will tell you what harm they have done. It's better to see, because there is falsehood. There is truth and there is falsehood. But truth can be understood very easily if you know what a saint should be. The saint has no interest in your money, in your position, in anything. His interest is only in awakening your kundalini and taking you to God. That's all. The other interests are not there. So, you see, this is what one should judge any saint on. You don't know how much these people have gone there and brought such bad name to us. Especially this Rajneesh, I just said one word. The whole lecture was given, so many things were given to read in Pune, and they just caught hold of one word. They asked me, what about Rajneesh? I just said she's Bilandar. I should have said much more. I just said he's Bilandar. So they caught hold of that word, and the whole thing started working on that only point. That is, are we that level that we are mouthpiece of such a man who was thrown out of every country? If you want to hear about him, I'll ask somebody to talk about him. Horrible. He was arrested, and people hate him. In Russia, they call him Rasputin. Such a man who is all the time changing himself. He thinks he's wise. I think he's the most dangerous man we could have. And now his ideas, he wants to insult Ganesha. Now I must tell you, without Ganpati we cannot cure many diseases, because Ganesha is on the Muladhara. We cannot cure. There are all these doctors, they never knew Ganpati, they didn't know what was Ganpati's girl was. But I told them, this is Ganpati, you have to worship if you want to cure. Even cancer cannot be cured unless we take the help of Ganpati. He's such a pure deity. But this gentleman started saying that Ganapati comes from the word Ganika. This is his own idea. This is such a perverted brain. It comes from the word Gana. Gana means, in our medical terminology, we can say antibodies. They are antibodies. And this is called as smirks. Americans have started a thing called smirks. So these are the antibodies. And these Ganas are very important. Without the antibodies, we cannot fight any disease. Now, how to excite them? You have to take the name of the goddess for this. You see, all these things look so fantastic, but you see, you don't know, our heritage is fantastic, tremendous. We have no idea as to what we are. And if somebody is trying to say something, these are all half-baked scientists, half-baked people who don't know much about it, just try to push you down. I mean, you must have heard they stoned us. 18 foreigners were hurt by that stoning. They just put us into such a trap, and they tortured our lives. I mean, we are very peaceful people. We didn't do anything. We were about, that time, 1,200 people. There were only 12 people, these Nirmala people. Anybody in that place would have really thrashed them. But I said, nothing doing, you sit down. And everybody got hurt. But 18 were very badly hurt, and some of them got fractures of the ribs even. But nobody stirred out, nobody said anything. And the newspapers, I'm surprised, gave absolutely the opposite. I just don't know. And one newspaper correspondent, now you just think of it, what a level we should be in India where we have such a great heritage. He brought a paper from this Andhashraddha Nirmala. There are hardly 12 people, some students, something like that. He brought and gave it to me. I was surprised how could a newspaper man give me that. Now they tried to play tricks, and we have given everything, so you better go through it and see for yourself how it was just like a mafia of police, and how they tortured us, and what these foreigners are going to speak about us when they go there. They are going to go to their embassies. No doubt we have lots of journalists also here of a very high repute. It's all going to be there. That there is a mafia going on in Maharashtra state is a fact. The way they managed the whole thing is so surprising. I cannot imagine. We have done no wrong to anyone. They have no right to disturb us. Not disturb, but to hate us like this for nothing at all. What wrong have we done? I have been to so many countries. I must say, I've been to Turkey. We have a representative from Turkey. Is an Islamic country. But the police themselves gave us a number, a code number. They respected us. Anywhere I go, I have never seen such things happening. Especially in Russia, we have representatives from Russia here sitting. They come all the way to know how I can help their children. What about people who are living here? Are they not going to use me? I'm your own. Am I not? They're not going to use my powers, or they're not going to use my knowledge when these people are using my knowledge in scientific field, in medical field, in other fields, even in agricultural field. Are we just going to get after every person, superficially looking at every person? Of course, I'm a simple woman. I do not have all these ostentations of a big sadhu baba or something like that. I'm a housewife and I'm a simple woman. But that doesn't mean that everything that I say is false. You have to, I would request a media to now rise up. You see, at the time when it was 1942, I was a very young woman, and we did fight the British that time. The newspapers were of such a level, I mean, it's a legend, I tell you, it's a legend. They would never support anybody so distinctly. There were hardly 12 people standing there and shouting and disturbing. Every newspaper had their photographs. Yesterday at the here at the Secretariat, there were 1,200 people standing silently. Such silence, such serenity, and such dignity. You would never find such people together. My husband says there are angels. We have found all the angels of the world. And this is what everybody has to become. We have to transform this world. Think of your children. What are they going to get? We have to transform them. We have to give them sense of security. And we have to give them a beautiful kingdom of God, as I call it. So just to deny God is very arrogant, I think. Even the greatest scientists like Einstein would not deny that. Newton would not deny. Who are these scientists here? What discoveries have they made? I mean, it's such a small-mindedness. It's such a short-sightedness. But what we have great is our saints. They are great saints, and they have given so many things to us. And thanks to them that I'm working, because what they have done, what they have produced, that I could reach all the villagers and all the people. Actually, in the villages, Indians live, I tell you. They are so simple, so sweet, and the way they receive me, the way they get realization, the way they have improved their agriculture and everything, is wonderful to see them. And my work is more in the villages, because I must say from my childhood I've been very much concerned about this great country, because this is a yoga book. This is not an ordinary country. You don't know. We have got the Adhyatma with us. We have got the greatest nourishing treasures with us. And all these Western countries which are now suffering because of a one-sided development of science and all that, we have to nourish them. We have to. You see, these people are all. There are some people from very high officials from, what's your company? IBM. And we have people from other big companies here. There's another one from Olivetti. We have big people here. Then we have one, Dr. Khan, who is a very well-known scientist from Calcutta. And all these people are here. So many people are here whom we can point out. There are big business people here. All of them are here. And we have people who have been cured of blood cancer also. They were declared to be dead. In Pune, these people spoke, nobody bothered. What they were, this is an architect. We have 2 architects who were declared to be dead within 8 days. They were cured of Sahajayoga, they are here. See now. So, all these they spoke. And there was Mr. Malhotra also told about his angina. But the Pune newspapers, I don't know, they have become just, that level is the mouthpiece of this Rajneesh. And the whole, this, all, if you see these people who talk of there's no God and all this is humbug and this and that, are nothing but the ideas of Mr. Rajneesh. He's penetrating them into our intellectuals and these people and that people, and they're accepting it. It's a very dangerous thing. And it is coming even into the people who are supposed to be our leaders. It's a very dangerous thing. And he's thrown out from every country. In Greece, he was not even allowed to stay there. I mean, the less said, the better. We have people who can talk about it. Now, I would like you to know about TM, how dangerous it is. But nobody has attacked TM. Can you tell Peter Pierce? This is Mr. Peter Pierce. He was a diamond merchant, and what TM did to him.
Shri Mataji, ladies and gentlemen, My name is Peter Pierce. From 1970, I got initiated into TM. It cost money. In 1972, I became a teacher of Transcendental Meditation, where I met Maharishi. And from that time onwards, somehow I became one of the leaders, international leaders of Transcendental Meditation.
He just mesmerized them, absolutely.
Through, as Mother says, a mesmerization process of learning mantras, of teaching mantras in simplistic forms of ing, aing, aima, ainga. We entrapped thousands of individuals. In 1976, I went on another course costing something like £12,000. I then purchased a place in Scotland for the movement, which belonged to myself and my wife. And over a period of 3 years, they were indebted to me for the tune of £250,000 of fees never paid, always promised. And whilst teaching these people, a number of them eventually landed up in mental institutes. One particularly well-known pop star's wife, we, with the grace of Mother, eventually had to get out of a mental institute where some teacher had said, your abstract experiences are beyond me. I think you better go and see a psychiatrist. On seeing the psychiatrist, he did one thing, and that was put her in a mental institute. Gradually, my wife and myself became non-communicative, unable to relate to the outside, what we termed as the outside world. Became more and more inward bound. My wife went into long periods of what could be called
Any type of epilepsy.
catatonia.
Very
For
funny.
anything up to 12 hours, she would sit in a corner.
And scream and shout. Horrible.
In 1979, early 1979, at the absolute wit's end, I didn't know which way to turn. I eventually decided that it was the end. I took the movement to court over the monies owed to us. Unfortunately, the liquidators of the company, because when you close down a company in Scotland, you have to liquidate it. They happened to choose the international Transcendental Meditation's international auditors, and I told them at the time that this happened to be a conflict of interest, and they said, we're not like that here. We're different. It doesn't matter. We're dealing with a different case. And I said, fine. Anyway, it's nothing to do with you. It's in the hands of the liquidators. It's in the hands of the courts. It went to court.
Money, you see?
Went to
Purchasing
court.
people with money.
The High Court judge said, stop wasting Mr. Pierce's money and go outside and decide on how you're going to pay it back. Outside, they wondered whether they were going to jeopardize a $150 million a year business, as Transcendental Meditation is, or was in those days. It's infinitely more today. Or to pay me £320,000, as was owed. And they decided, for their own skins, to drop the case. They went back in again and said, we have just dropped the case, and that was the end of it. And I lost £320,000 then. And not many people, especially myself, could take a knock like that. Linda was unbelievably affected. We happened to meet a very well-known neurophysiologist in London from St. Thomas's, and he was interested in doing experiments on us. And with another, a smaller group of meditators who had done these obscure techniques of hopping around like a frog on the ground, he eventually has a look at the brainwave patterns, and he said, you know, these are those of an epileptic. And here was the movement stating that these brainwave patterns showed a correlation of integration. And they purport to be scientists, you know, have all the scientific data showing how good it was and so on and so forth. And here's a well-known physiologist saying the complete opposite. And by the grace of another friend of mine, I happened to meet Shri Mataji. And in a very short time, we were cured. Shri Mataji had me to stay with her for 6 months. And never once did I spend or have to spend. Never once did I, because we can all Sahaja Yogis can give realization to people. Never once did we have to pay 1 penny. And you know, $250,000 in 1979 was a lot of money. And we couldn't believe. And none of the others who we managed to drag out of transcendental meditation could believe. Here we had something which was tangible, something we could actually feel. Not only could we feel ourselves, but we could feel those around us. We could feel their chakras. Transcendental meditation is nothing. You can't feel a thing. All you can feel is your gradual inward recluse type attitude. And with the blessings of Mother, and with you people writing the facts in your newspapers, maybe we can rescue many, many more people in India. Thank you, Mother.
I must say that so many are really lost. I tell you, in a very bad shape. I mean, I used to really weep seeing them. They have become absolutely like mental cases and in a very bad shape. Also, Rajneesh's things are just the same. We have had experiences of Rajneesh's people coming to my program, and Yogi Mahajan was rather quite sort of sympathetic about them. He told me there are 3 Rajneesh's people who are very much in trouble. Mother, should I bring them to the program? I said, please don't. You can bring them home, but not there. It will be dangerous. And he just brought them, because they forced him and they brought them. And they were about 100 feet away from me. As soon as they saw me, they just fell down and became just like stones, just like stones. Nobody could lift them, they were so heavy. I mean, they had to really move, like you move the stones outside. And it was terrible. Then some people went to, there's an ashram he has got in Dharamshala. They said, we want to have a kind of a, sort of a cure for our troubles. He said, no, you better go to Shri Mataji, I cannot treat you. I will not allow you to come to this place. So they said, why not? So he said, all right, to come along. And then he said, you put your hands towards Shri Mataji. They started shaking, the whole body started shaking. They ran up. But then, of course, I mean, you know, as it is, I'm too compassionate for all this. I feel so terrible. Have we got Robert here or someone? Is he from? We have 2 persons from there. This is Robert, who suffered a lot. And the Sahajyogis objected his coming to our ashram. So I stayed in the ashram myself. We kept him there, looked after him. And he got completely cured of such bad illness. he would have been finished by now in a lunatic asylum or something. Not only that, but now you've got what degree?
Now,
what degree you have got? Yes, take.
it is by the grace of Shri Mataji that I'm standing here, as she told, and also that I have achieved last year the degree of art history. That means not doctor yet. Maybe once it will happen, by Mother's grace. But before doctor, I don't know how this is called in English. This is doctorandus in Dutch. I've been doing this study in Ghent, in Belgium, from 1982 on. In 1981, I received my realization from her. I met Sri Mataji, luckily, in Paris, because I was hopelessly seeking there the truth. And actually, I was befooled by this Rajneesh, because with his books on the market, which he writes for making money, of course, and also he abuses the fact that seekers want to overcome their problems. And he doesn't give the solution by a fact, like Sri Mataji does, the fact of realization. But he first writes these books so that these get sold. Then little by little he gives programs or therapies for which has to be paid a lot. Like one of the therapies is they call rebirthing. And for this you have to pay $30 per hour. And this is a kind of injection of oxygen you put in your lungs. You breathe during an hour in an unnatural way. This gives a very funny effect in your muscles. And it gives a kind of purification, maybe because of the oxygen which burns away problems. But it is not a lasting curing. The problems come back, which means you have to come back to this center to get this therapy again. And so it gives you an enslavement to this therapy, and you pay every time again these $30. So I was a student, I had very little money, but I lost even what I had with these techniques, sorry. Other things, horrible things which this Rajneesh teaches is, he calls it the Kundalini dance. Mother, please forgive me, but this is a terrible dance, and they jump and shout like dogs and fall on their heels. They have to jump. And can you imagine, if you look on the chart which you have in your papers, you see that the heels is the Muladhara chakra. So he shocks the whole body through this method, and he makes a big chaos out of it, so that you don't feel the subtleties anymore of the real, later on, of the real Kundalini. Actually, years later, you still can suffer from these shocks you have experienced in your body, like headaches or tensions in the chakras. And there are actually, Shri Mataji told that there are very few persons who overcame this.
Religious people, I could not cure many. You see, they're so absolutely doomed people. You cannot. And he himself is suffering now so much. And they say he's so wise, this, that. I just know what sort of a wisdom is this. What sort of, he reads books, you see, he has lots of books. Those who are not, people who are not well read, can easily see he has taken from this book, that book. And he just publishes. That's how he has published books, and he has made money. But the worst part is that the way he has made these people suffer, the way he has made them suffer, but not one, so many of them. And you'll be surprised, his name is so bad everywhere. I mean, now there's one thing we have got for him, which you cannot say anywhere. There's a special one I've arranged in this private place. For you to see a film, which was done by an Englishman who came here, and he made a hole and took all these photographs of his mass sex act. Of course, I don't want to see it, because once I saw it, I vomited for 8 days. So what he has done and how he has ruined people, for going to this, he is to charge 500 rupees for going to these nonsensical things. Even those who have not gone to this have been too much affected. But this is what he started. But then the AIDS came in. So the AIDS came in, and his disciples started getting AIDS, so he changed over. He's done all kinds of tricks, all kinds of things, and all the manipulations and everything. And that's what is now coming into our people who are our leaders. It's coming into them. They are taking from them. He's teaching them all these ways and methods of these things. And I don't know, there was a case I heard about, that there was a case against him that he had taken away this land from somebody and it didn't belong to him. But the whole case was suppressed, completely suppressed. I just don't understand. It's like you just don't understand how such things can happen. Because I have lived now in UK and any other countries. I mean, such horrible things do not happen like this. Anybody cannot get on with every sort of a nonsense. That's why he is here, I think. Otherwise he cannot exist in any other country. Illegal things, so many illegal things are done. In our case especially, I will say, they were first shouting, all right? Then they said all kinds of things against me. Now to hear something against your mother is very different. If you abuse somebody's mother, but I told them not to get irritated, not to be angry. Then they disturbed us. It's illegal to disturb any meeting. You can shout when there's no meeting. But when I started speaking, the police was just standing there, doing nothing. Then we went to, they wrote to me another letter saying that, all right, we would like you to tell us about Sahajayoga and we'll try to help you, and we'll of course add to your success and to your fame, to your fame. They wrote a letter to me, signed, and we took it for granted. When we went to Satara, they had called the police, and there were people shouting again, all kinds of dirty things against me, all kinds of. It was unbearable. You see, Indians and the foreigners, when they heard the meaning, they all were boiling with temper. I said, all right, doesn't matter. You can later on have a kind of a nidarshan or something. You can take out your temper there, but just now you bear it. Now, after that, we had to tell the police that 2.5 hours we could not start our meeting, that you ask them to stop now. So, otherwise it's illegal. Then the police stopped it. But in this place, Singapore, it was so horrible that no police came. We had told them that you have to come here. No police came, nobody came, and they left us in the lurch, and they put us into a kind of a compound. Behind was a bus depot. And these people came from behind and took some ladders from the timber mart and put them. It's really a mafia activity. I started throwing stones indiscriminately. 2 boys were hit by, they say, I didn't see them hitting these 2 persons. Was one Dr. Daborkar and another fellow, Mr. Pang. They hit him and they gave sort of signals to them. The other people started shouting from there in the dark. So these boys went that side to see who is shouting. They hit them so hard, somebody got hurt here. All of them are foreigners who got very badly hurt. 18 of them. Where it happened? Angapur. Now you know where is Angapur? Angapur. You see, it is from Satara, far away. It's a very remote place. Angapur away, why I go? Because Sri Ramadasa found the statue of Sri Rama and Sita and also of Anglai Devi. So it's a very, very powerful place. So I went there. And I've been there going for 6 years. And the Gramasthas, poor things were involved, and the newspaper I gave absolutely a wrong information. When these people went to the police station, you'll be surprised. The Sakal paper rang up at 10:30 in the night to find out if in Marathi was Matajinchi Sabha Udvasta Keli. These were the sentences. And then if he told the right thing, no, it was much worse. So they were hit and they put the stones and all that. But in paper, just the opposite. I just don't know, how can they do it? And they went to the police later on to put their case, and the police said, have you got any injury? He said, no, not much, but you see, this they beat us. All wrong, absolutely wrong. But you'll be surprised, there was a Doordarshan man with them who came. And he jumped on the stage. Can you imagine? This is the mafia stuff. I was about to speak. He jumps on the stage and he said, Mataji, I must have your interview. I said, but this is not the time. You were to come at 6 o'clock. Why have you come now? I have to speak now. No, you must give it. Imagine a Doordarshan man is a government servant. Why should Doordarshan be there? I can't understand. No policeman, only Doordarshan man. And this Vartahar, the correspondent from there, he was there but he ran away. And this one Mr. Pangi, who was Jilla something, Sahakari Bank something. So he had thrown the stone, so they brought him to the stage I said, all right. I agree, he has thrown the stone, and here it hurt a boy, and it gave him a fracture, he started bleeding, we had to send him to the hospital, still it is to be operated on, and something has to be done. Now, when they brought him, you see, I was very quiet, and I said, now have peace. We have to show we are peaceful people. Peace itself has power. Now don't shout, don't beat anyone, don't do anything. They brought him there, and I said, now you take him to the police station. I will not allow you to touch him even on anything, just take him. So what they said, they tied it up us, and all, how can we lie so much in this country? I mean, lies of the worst type, I can tell you. How can we do it? I understand newspaper has to give both the sides, but this is just lie. And this Sakal paper has been always telling lies against me. I built a house. I didn't know that they had intention of having buildings there. They wanted to have buildings for the builders. You see, as if they have become agents of builders. So these people got after me. I didn't know that this land belonged to them or anything. I just built my own farmhouse because I'm interested in farming. So they got after me. And they got a proper 9 people's arrangement made, from collector, commissioner, and even the judge who had, district judge, who had retired. So they put an ad hoc judge there, and passed an ex-parte demolition of my house, my husband's hard-earned money, ex-parte. And luckily I came here to Bombay next day, and the judge said, how can it be? It was a status quo. He gave me a state order, and he squashed the whole thing. He said, you are so illegal. She has taken permissions from Gram Panchayat, from everyone. She has gotten everything map and everything intact. And my husband has gone doctorate from India and also from England in law, and I showed him. And they said, how could you do these things? And this is what Sakal paper did, was to write. Then, of course, our Sahajyogis could not bear it, so they wrote to the press that the way they wrote all nonsensical things about, you see, alleging me that I'm doing all illegal things. So the press council was very nice, and they sent me a message that we have decided that you can ask these people to give you a public apology, and whatever you write, they have to publish. But you know, I'm very forgiving. I said, forget it. Now what is there to apologize, and all that is done is done. But they are again back in the seat. I don't know what's wrong with this Pratap Rao Pawar also. Why is he? I mean, just as if, you see, they have become like lords of the whole world. They survey. They can do what they like. And beating these foreigners. They are now going to go to their embassies, as going to go to the whole world, the way they have behaved. It is nowhere done like this. And they are supporting this Andhashraddha Nirmulan Samiti. I have got the name of Pratap Rao Pawar on the committee there. I mean, this is even worse than mafia. I've been to Sicily, I've been to all places. I've never seen such a thing happen. And the police, you know, the police was so cunning. At 9 o'clock they came. And this policeman says that, now you finish your meeting. I said, meeting is already finished. But I can't take them out because they are there and they will just trouble these people. So you first of all see that they go away. He said, all right, they have gone. I couldn't take him because I knew they were all very mischievous people. So I asked one gentleman, Dayal, to go and see for himself. He came back. He was hit here. He had a big lump on his, or they had beaten him up here, and his nose was bleeding. I said, what is this? How can I send these foreigners by that road where people are beaten up? So he said, no, they have gone. I said, nothing doing. You remove them. Otherwise, I will never allow these people to go. Then I sent some other people to see. Till 12:30 we were there in the night. Imagine, just sitting there. We couldn't move. Then they told that they have put already the stones on the road and they are going to stop the buses and they are going to hit these people. Same with this Vijnana Prabodhini, supposed to be nonsensical thing like that. You see, this Ichal Karanji place we went to long time back, about 81. And they were all right when I was talking. And suddenly when these foreigners were getting into the bus, they took hockey sticks and big sticks, started hitting them. They all got so badly hurt. But that time, I must say, Shankarrao Chauhan was there. And I went and talked to Sidhu. And Sidhu immediately ordered an inquiry, and he really took them to task. But that's a different thing. I can't understand what's happening. If this kind of we have security, nobody can move. In a place like Gangapur, to reach there itself is difficult. And this Doordarshan fellow was there. And he jumped on the stage. Why? What right he has got to ask me? Just tell me. I mean, you may be newspaper people, all right. But so everybody has their own limitations. Isn't it? You cannot jump on the stage and ask me questions at that time. And the Vartahar himself gave me the papers from these people. I mean, I can't imagine. Isn't it a shameful thing that the foreigners who are here saintly people? And very badly hurt, very badly.
Tell us something about Sahajayoga.
Huh?
When it started, how it started.
All right. Sahajayoga, as he has told you, is not a new thing. Sahajayoga has been used since long in this country. It's our heritage, has been used. Sahaja, Saha is with, Jaya is born with. And it is something which has been already used by our saints. But very few people got realization, very few people got realization. And then it so happened that when I was born, I knew I had to do this work of collective realization. I had to work it out. And my father himself was a very saintly person and a very sacrificing person. My mother was also. And they wanted me to find out the ways and method how I would achieve a samohik chetana for the people. Because that is, you see, they also were very concerned about the people. They sacrificed all their life for Congress and this. And I mean, I also, as they told you, I have also suffered a lot. They gave me electric shocks and all that happened. Doesn't matter. But after that, all that, when Gandhiji was there also, Gandhiji knew all about it. And if Gandhiji had lived, he would have supported me. He would definitely have supported me. He was a realized soul. Shastriji was also a realized soul. He used to respect me so much that even when he was Prime Minister, if I came to know, he came to know I was there, he would invite me. My husband was his secretary, all right. But to respect me so much, he would even come to my car and open the door for me. I saw that. I mean, it's so humble towards me because he knew that I had this power. It was after me that I should take to Congress and this and that. But I was just waiting to find out a way by which I could break this seventh chakra and all. And I was studying in my own subtle ways the problems of human beings, why they don't get realization. There are problems in the chakras, these permutations and combinations. And in that study and all that, I found that I'm just about to finish it off. And I went to many saints, real saints, also to artificial saints and to the people like this. I went to even the Muktanand, I went to Rajneesh and to all those people to find out. But Rajneesh himself is something surprising. At first time I met him in Jabalpur because he knew my niece and he said that your sister, aunt has come, I would like to meet her. Because my husband was a big man those days. So maybe he wanted to meet me or whatever it is. But as soon as he saw me, he stretched himself before me. My brother was also with me and said, you are Adi Shakti, you are Adi Shakti. So I put up a show. I said, what is Adi Shakti? I don't know. What is this? What are you talking about? He said, you don't know anything about it? I said, no, I don't know anything. So he wanted to get something done, you see, from Shastriji. I said, nothing doing. I'm sorry. I'm no good for all these things. If you want, you can take an appointment with Shastriji. Shastriji never gave him an appointment. He used to say like that. So it happened. Then when I came to Bombay, again he got after me. We had an Impala car from Shipping Corporation, wanted to buy that. His attention was only on money or this. He was saying, I had a kada with me. Why don't you give me this kada? I said, why? This is given to me by my family people. Why do you want to have? You are a man. What will you do with the kada? He said, I'll make money out of it. But why do you want to make money? You are a sadhu. You are a sannyasi. I couldn't understand him throughout. Then he said, no, but I'm doing a lot of work. You don't know. And you must come and see me. This. One day he asked me to go to his lecture. And he used to telephone me to my husband said, it's so much better go. What is the harm after all? Went there to his lecture. So he said, you sit on the dais. In the presence of everybody, somebody goes on saying, sit on the dais. So I said, all right, I went inside. Immediately somebody took my photograph. It's a blackmailing system, you know. He took my photograph. Then he said, you come to Narbol. And he telephoned to me so many times. My husband said, I have a friend there nearby. You go and stay there. After all, you can go and see this man. What he's doing. After all, he's saying, maybe there is some truth in it. I said, all right, Baba, my husband, I didn't know what to tell him about this man, that I didn't think much of him. Then I went there. I went and I saw the way he was mesmerizing people. They were all fainting, rolling on their... I was so disgusted with it. That was on the 4th of May, 1970. The 5th of May, I broke the 7th chakra. That's the thing I broke. He doesn't know a word about Kundalini, he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know any medical. He doesn't know any science. He doesn't know about our Indian music. He doesn't know about Western music. He's not at all knowledgeable. Not at all knowledgeable. He eats like a glutton. I saw him eating. I said, Baba, what is this? Some Rakshasi food he's eating like that. I'm telling you the truth, you see. And then he got diabetes, this, that. He's 10 years younger to me. And he's now lying sick. He is thrown out of all these places. Now, explanation is very good at giving. He says, because of Pope he was thrown out. Not at all. Because America doesn't follow Pope. They're all Protestant countries who threw him out. He didn't go to any South American countries where I go. And I talk about the wrongs of Christianity, wrongs of Hinduism, wrongs of all the religions, of the Islam and everything. And I tell them that what is written in the Bible, what is written in the Quran also, they have described Sahajayoga. They have said it, that at the time of resurrection your hands will speak. Clearly it is said. So, you see, if you talk to these people, if they are not fundamentalists, they listen to you. And it works. Otherwise, how can I work in Turkey and places like that? And we have in Algeria so many scientists, aeronautical engineers, so many people there. So it's such a unique thing you have got. Now, I would request you to put forward these things for people. Actually, there was no need also for me to advertise, because you will see that wherever I go, in Delhi, there are at least 12,000 people. In Noida, there were 14,000 people. In the villages, they come from all over. Even for this thing, poor things had to come on their by cars and all that, and everybody was hit. Everyone was hit. Because there were about 400 stones, they threw such big, big stones. And these stones were there already, they had everything nicely done, because they had these ladders, and they had those stones stored for the road building. And they threw them. I have no guru. There is no guru needed for me. You see, I was born like this. Everybody, a guru's guru, who will be? It's like that. So, you see, I am an ancient person, and to know me, it's better that you come to Sahajayoga and then know me. Because, see, now Christ said, I am the Son, I am the only Son of God. This is a fact. Actually, Christ is the incarnation of Ganesha. We can prove it. We can prove all these things on vibration. If you get your realization, we can prove everything. We can prove the existence of God. We can prove the existence of what we are saying. Everything that I say, we can prove it on vibrations. Supposing I say the truth, then you start getting the cool breeze much more. But if there's something, somebody is a falsehood, false man, you put your hand, you start burning. You diagnose only on your fingertips. On your fingertips you can diagnose. And that's how these, after all, these are all such highly qualified doctors and things and scientists. They themselves have experience and they are experimenting. And also to say that I take money, and there's no need, because my husband earns quite a lot. And by God's grace, he's a very generous man. And he feels that I'm doing a very good work. So he's helping me. But one side are these false gurus and the people who suffer from Andhashraddha, where I tell them that don't, God, they say that Devi comes in the body. I say, no, nothing of the kind. So they are on one side. Another side are these people. I just don't know. In India is this problem? Nowhere. How can Russians imagine? There was no religion for Russians so far, isn't it? They had no religion. But imagine how they jumped into Sahajayoga.
You don't have any center in Bombay?
We have so many.
Bombay?
Oh, so many. Ityado? Huh? Ekandar kiti center asti? No. Sanga na kute mukha te dadarच sanga. Now, you must sometimes put the positive side and such a hope for young people, such a hope for our children. You must see the utility of this. You see, this I just don't know. We are not politicians. We have nothing to do with politics.
Where we can see this Sahajayoga?
We have centers at Dadar on every Thursday at 6:30, Sane Guruji Vidyalaya, behind Kettering College. We are there, and we would all invite you there. Please come there. That's our main center.
You go and see, and get your realization. Yes. Unless and until you get your realization.
We are having a Bharatiya Vidya
like
Bhavan.
This television is here. You see, unless and until you put to the mains, it doesn't work. So you don't have to pay anything. Nothing will go wrong with you. On the contrary, if you have any problems, they'll be solved. So why not take your realization? This is your own. You see, just like one enlightened light can enlighten you. We have a correspondent who came with a skeptical mind. He got realization. He's all right now. They can give realization. You can give realization. Now I don't do it. You say I don't cure people. But these people are demanding, you must show us, you must give a proof. What right have they got? All right. I said, all right, I will show you. I will do it. I did promise everything. But this is not the way. Now they will not allow me to touch them. ये तो खुंशीपना है ना. And the police plays into their hands. The police, the entire, even doctor, you'll be surprised, they would not give us the certificate of the doctor there. 3 days they had to struggle. Then I took them to Kolhapur. And Kolhapur, the mission hospital was shocked at the condition and they gave all the certificates to us. Everybody is glove in hand. And 2 people have been demoted. One from the Raya school, another one. They have been demoted. And police is after these people who are innocent people. They are with me throughout. What is this going on?
Why you selected Satara?
Huh?
Why you selected Satara?
No, you see, Satara, we have actually on our way to Brahmapuri, we went to Satara. We've been there for the last 7 years to Satara. And in that place we have been because it's a Ramadasa's place, you know that very well. It's a specially blessed place. And Satara people are very nice that way. And they showed us also this Malkham, Lejim, everything. They respected us very much, always. So this time, these were only 16 or 17 people, only. And at Angapur, they were saying so that there were 12 people, and 4 or 5 were standing outside with 3 cars. One was Maruti, another one was Ambassador, and one was some Jeep, some sort of a thing. I mean, this is called as Andhashraddha Nirmulan. I am the one who has been talking about it since the year 1970. I have told them, this is Andhashraddha, you cannot do it. This is Andhashraddha. This is what is Swayambhu, what is not Swayambhu. Even about Christianity, I told them what is Andhashraddha. I told about Paul, so many things against him. And when the Archbishop of Canterbury's advisor was in my program, and I said everything very clearly. At that day, I don't know why, he was there and I said it against Paul, the way he has spoiled Christianity. And he was shocked, but nobody did this to me. Nobody did this to me. Moreover, you see, now we are recognized as a religion, as a federal religion in America, as a federal religion. Then also we are recognized in Russia as an independent organization. In Italy, they wrote a book about me, calling me the person of the year, and they sent their people for televising. And they must have televised the whole thing. They're with us. The government sent it. Of course, I don't expect from this government, but this is not the way to get after us for what? And if this kind of thing is going to work, you see, this is all Rajneesh style work. It's all manipulation. He did the same style of things in that Rajneeshpuram. If you want to know, some Americans can tell you all details about it. But I think I would go away now. You better see this film. This is a very unique film which was purchased by Mr. Rajneesh and is not allowed to show in any public places. That's why we arranged this place. But you better have a look. I better go away. I can't bear it. It's too much. It's too much of it. My sensitivity. Have you all seen it or not? Hey, dekha? Put yourself into Bandhan and see. I don't know. I better go. About what? UN? क्या बताएं? नहीं उस पे अभी एक मेरा नहीं मैंने एक I gave a lecture which was delayed in Australia about paramodernism. How by the recession, by the behavior of the Russian policy that we are now finished. We are now finished as far as the political problems are concerned, quite a lot. Because you see, one side is gone. See, you clap with both the hands, and the one hand is gone. Like Gorbachev has really, definitely, objectively, and sincerely has shown his interest in removing all kinds of military thing to establish peace. So now Americans have to do something about it. So that problem is over. But also, UN has another problem is fundamentalism. Then we have got another problem is of, as he told you, of the ecological imbalances. Now, ecological imbalances, as he said, will only come when there's a transformation of human beings and the awareness. That, of course, you can only achieve through Sahajayoga. But also, you'll be amazed that Dr. Hamid is not here, but he was asked by his government. He was I think he was an advisor in agriculture in some country by the UN. But later on now he's working in Austria. And the Austrian government requested him to help the trees because they were dying out with acid rain. So he took vibrated water and put it to these trees. And he came and told me that mother, 60-year-old trees have died away. But all the rest have come up and they are doing all right. So they have developed such strength that they can even fight the acid rain also. So ecological problems can be solved. Also ecological problems come in because, you see, the people go to extremes. Like machines are for us, we are not for machines. But you go on like mad creating machines. Now they were going to also, this government wanted to have some, the other day when I was in Ganpatipure, all these poor villagers came, especially these people who are fishermen. They said, you must do something for us, we pray to you. I said, what has happened? They are going to get all the toxic things from all over the world, all the waste matter, and they are going to make something out of it on the shores of Ganpatipure near Jaigarh. So all the fishes will be dead, no doubt. And if there's a leakage, all people can be finished. So why to do such a thing? What is the need? See, there are so many other things one can do to improve the conditions of our people. And constructively we should go. Now, I have, in my small way, have thought of so many ways by which we can work out so many things. And we have already started a center for the women who are downtrodden in the villages to teach them certain things, how collectively they can work out some sort of ceramics and things like that. Because it is done by some middlemen always, and the middlemen take all the money. They suffer. Now then I am thinking of asking people in near my place to grow lots of flowers, and we can have a negotiation with Japan who want to buy the flowers. So they can bring their aeroplanes. If we are not middlemen between, they'll get all the profits and they'll become all right. See, like that, you can do so many things in our country. But the middlemen, the greedy people, they kill them. But Sahajogis are not like that. They are honest people. They don't take any money like that. We have no embezzlement, nothing. We are very, very honest, law-abiding people.
But do you need money for all these activities or not?
No, you see, activities of course we do need, but what happens that now, for example, now I've come here. So my husband pays for my ticket to come to India. After all, he is very highly paid and we have no expenses as such. But otherwise, the expenses now, for example, hiring a hall or something. So they collect some money among themselves. Now we have so many Sahajogis. In the beginning, for about 4 or 5 years, I was paying for everything to begin with. Even for the people, the food and everything I used to pay because, you know, my husband is a very generous man and he believes that what work I'm doing is very good. So I used to pay quite a lot. I had to sell my ornaments also, my family ornaments. I did it. But now, you see, the thing is that now there are so many and they want that for the programs and all that there. But for realization you cannot pay. I don't take any money. I don't know, actually you'll be surprised, we have a trust. We have trustees. I have never even seen the accounts or anything. I have a chartered accountant who comes and sees and directs it. But I don't touch money. I don't need. Why do I need money for what? For raising the Kundalini, you don't need any money.
Traveling and all that?
Traveling, my husband pays. Huh? My husband pays just now for me. But even supposing you pay for my traveling, supposing my husband says I will not pay, supposing, then you don't pay me, you pay to the aeroplanes, isn't it? You don't pay me. You see, these people, their lifestyle. You see, the whole lifestyle. They have 600 crores of diamonds, this time. See, This is not good. In the name of God. In the name of God, you cannot make your livelihood. Even livelihood is wrong. Even the livelihood. You have seen people like Tukarama and all that. You see, Christ was born to a carpenter. He lived like a carpenter. Now, you see, I come from a rich family. I must say, we are from Shalivahanas, this is royal family. We are well-off people. My husband also comes from a rich family, and he's a very big man there also, and he's got a big pay and all that. All that is there. But still, I can live anywhere. I can live in a hut, I can live anywhere. I have no problems. Because, you see, if you just seek the comfort of your spirit. So supposing they are paying for this, it's all right, let them pay. But this doesn't mean that they pay me for food and living. You see, make a clear-cut understanding that for spirituality you cannot pay. You can pay for material things now. You have to pay after all. But it's not much. See, if you are a Sahajayogi, so many miracles happen. They say, Mother, we got it for a very cheap thing. We got it for very... You see, it all works out so well. I started Sahajayoga with one person, and you can imagine, of course, I did spend money quite a lot before that, but now I don't spend so much money as they are organizing everything, except for traveling. Now my husband wants to pay for traveling. Last time they had a fight. They said she shouldn't pay for our salvation. So there was a fight in England about it. But still my husband insisted, nothing doing, let me pay for her travel. And he has kept money for me there so that I should not have any problem about traveling. You see, because we have children who are married in very good families, and they are also very satisfied people. And you know about my husband, he is a well-known honest man. I mean, he is honest to a fault. A very honest man. He was with Shastriji, and he's got Padma Bhushan for that. He's known for his honesty. And I like it, because we need today honest people. The message is that we are the spirit. And we have to become the spirit. This is the last evolutionary living process. From human life, from human awareness, you have to get the spiritual awareness. And the whole thing will change. Now we have people with 36 nations, such brotherhoods, such love, no quarrel, nothing.
There are only a handful of people.
No, there are thousands. In every country we have thousands. In thousands. To start with, of course. But not now. These are only selected people who have come here. See, there are thousands and thousands. And many could be, you see, we should think that we all should help and we all should be like, why not? That means you want to have many people is a very good idea. You should have many people like that. Why not? It's a very good idea to think that we should have many more. I would love to do. I mean, my age, do you know, is 67 years now. And I'll be starting my 68th year this March. But still I'm traveling so much and I hardly sleep and hardly eat. I mean, I'm working so very hard. So I'll be very happy as long as I can live. I would like to work and spread this message everywhere and get people the realization. This is all predicted in our books. In a Nadi Granth, they have predicted it. Even Rabindra Babu has described it. This one, Louis, was a great poet in England. He has described it clearly. And of course, I must say, William Blake, if you have read William Blake, he has described it very clearly. We had it in Nadi Granth completely written down, the complete Sahajayoga. And Ganeshwara is described as Pasaida. So there has been seers who have described it. So the time has come for us to change and to enjoy. So why not enjoy? Then in the newspaper, we'll be only talking about Sahajayoga. As we have a newspaper, we talk only about Sahajayoga. What happened, how people gained this thing, how they were rewarded, what nice things happened, and everything nice, nothing shocking, no sensations. So, I mean, I would say that you should take to Sahajayoga. Firstly, you will not get into any diseases. All right? Secondly, mentally, you will be very satisfied and a happy person. Emotionally, you will be a very balanced person. You will become a real correspondent because you will develop a witness state, where you will not be biased and you can penetrate into the problems. You will be able to know what's going on. And thirdly, you will become a peaceful personality Absolutely peaceful. And that peace is what we need today. Only talking about peace, peace doesn't come. Peace has to come from within. And you'll be a very righteous person, you'll be very proud of your virtues, and you'll enjoy each other all over the world. They are all your brothers and sisters from all over the world. All right? It's very relaxing and beautiful. बताइए कशाला? So we have to be very pragmatic and we have to be very constructive, and something so unique we have which we have to put forward. And I would say that you will pay full attention to it, you will go through it, read it and put it the way you like. But the best thing is to write about Sahajayoga. All these things are, there's already a criminal case on these people, so it's all right, don't you worry. Hello?
Some more flowers.
Can you imagine that Germans went to Russia to give them realization? Germans. Can you imagine such a thing happening? That Germans went to Russia to give realization. So all this kind of a mutual understanding, what's it? From Austria.
Can you solve this Punjab problem?
Of course, why not? 100%. I'll tell you. Yes, it's a very easy thing, you see. We have so many Sikhs in our community. Mr. Khurana is a Sikh. What work I am doing is the work of Guru Nanaka himself. Guru Nanaka is the one who has written clearly about Kundalini. Kabira has described it so clearly in that. He was so systematic that he got all the great saints of our country together to put this Granth Sahib. In the Granth Sahib there is Namadeva also. Namadeva was a great saint from India. And he made him learn Punjabi language, and such a big book he has written. Now, if you can put before them the ideals of Guru Nanaka and what Namadeva has written and all that, you see, they are disturbed people. But if you tell them that there is a way to get realization, I must tell you one thing. Sikhs and Muslims are the best to get realization. Once they get it, they are there. Somehow or other, because they talk of abstract, I think, somehow. And we have so many Sikhs now. In Delhi, there are so many Sikhs who are coming to Sahajayoga. And once it spreads to that side, I'm sure everything will neutralize. Everything will neutralize. We have Pakistanis also. Yes, of course. We have Pakistanis also. Yes, true. We have, you see, from 36 nations, we have people here. So you can imagine, there are different languages, there are different ideas and everything. Thank you. It can be easily solved. You see, what we have to do, Sahajayoga has a healing process. It heals. It heals your wounds. It heals your problems, you see. So, if the healing process in Punjab could be put, they'll heal and everything will be pacified. Absolutely. Just what you need is the healing process. I think we have never used the power of love so far, only the hatred. Now, if you use the power of love, which I'm talking about, this all-pervading powers love, it's very easy to work it out. You'll be surprised when I was going for yoga seminar. I had been to Russia before. My husband said, you've been just now to Russia, why do you want to go again? I told him I have to go because we'll get Eastern Bloc there. And I want to break the Eastern Bloc. I have to go. He said, for 2 days, yes. I said, I'm sure there will be Eastern Bloc. And you'll be surprised, in that yoga seminar, they had given me 45 minutes. And they were all people from places like East Germany, then all other, these Eastern Bloc people, all of them were there. And they got realization. 30 minutes they allowed me to talk, and 50 minutes gave them realization. When I walked out, they all walked out with me. There was nobody left in the hall. They gave their addresses of these places, Czechoslovakia, every Poland and all that. And can you imagine, as soon as they went back, it cracked. It triggered. So If we have some Sahajogis from Punjab who get to Sahajayoga and they go there, it will work. Because they aim at peace. Such personalities aim at peace. It is at a higher level they have to try. Not with words or anything. You see, today you might say, you are my brother, you are my sister. खाइए खाइए ना, इतनी देर हो गई, क्या कर रहे हो? ए, देव दो दो, थोड़ा थोड़ा खाओ. अरे भाई थोड़ा खाओ, क्या करते हो? अभी माँ के घर में आओ, तुम खाना नहीं खाओगे? ले थोड़ा खाओ, चलो, बहुत देर हो गई. कब से बैठे हो? ये लोग सब खा के आए होंगे, हाँ. They must be having for everyone. So, see, this is, we have never tried it. But now see the work of love. Now Kali Yuga has gone, now Kruta Yuga has started, where the all-pervading power is working it out. It's such a...
Rajiv Gandhi says he will come to power again.
Huh?
Rajiv Gandhi says he will come to power again.
You see, that's not my area. I don't want to say anything about it. Whosoever comes to power again, whosoever it is, has to be now a benevolent king. Has to be. Has to be. There's no doubt about it. You see, this coming to power, what is the sense in it? I don't know. What is there? They haven't got their own powers. You see, look at me. I have all the powers with me. So you can call me a capitalist. You can say I have all the powers, so I am the capitalist. But I can't live without distributing, so I am the communist. So this power is outside, not inside. Inside to koi power nahi. What is there in these powers? Nothing is there. It is for you to now to understand that this is neither this way nor that way. It is in the center we are. We're talking about how to bring people to the center, to transform them. Whether they belong to this party or to that party makes no difference. They have to come to the center. Whether they belong to this country or to that country. Now, this gentleman who spoke to you about TM, nowadays he is in South Africa. And in South Africa we have thousands of surgeons. In South Africa. And they are white people.
How long does it take to realize?
Ramadasa was the same question. He said, Takshana. It takes hardly even a second. But you better come to our center and it will happen to you, I'm sure. Already you are relaxed if you see it. It is all your own. And the best part of it is your heritage. कुणी रामदास स्वामींपासनं नाही सगळ्यांच्यापासनं बेटे. असं आता ज्ञानेश्वर कितीचे झाले, त्याच्या आधी आपल्याकडे झाले मच्छिंद्रनाथ, गोरखनाथ. नाथपंथीयांचं काम आहे, नाथपंथीयांचं काम आहे आपल्याकडे केलेलं. एकीकडे वेद वगैरे होते आणि दुसरीकडे भक्ती मार्ग होता मधोमधा. कानिफनाथ वगैरे केवढे झाले आपल्याकडे नाथपंथी. हे महाराष्ट्रातलं कार्य आहे, हे दुसरं सांगायचं म्हणजे. आणि महाराष्ट्रातच शहाणपण आलंय लोकांना. चला आता काय प्रोग्राम माझा? तुम्ही पाहणार? बघू द्या ना. काय नाही बघायचं आणि बघितलीच नाही. बघू द्या सर काय झालं. व्हॉट इज देअर? आय हॅव यू एनी ऑब्जेक्शन सीइंग दॅट फिल्म? बेटर सी इट वॉज देअर. आफ्टर ऑल युअर सेइंग्स यू शुड सी ऑल्सो द फिल्म. नॉट मी. I've had enough of it. तुम्ही बघून जा. तो आपके लिए खास अरेंज किया है. 1 मिनट देख के जाओ. ये दिखेगा नहीं आपको. तो आपको पता होगा क्यों मैं ये बात.
We are not interested in that.
ठीक है.
Like you have, how many days you will be here? In Bombay, how many days you will be here?
I'm going away tomorrow. But these people are going to be here. I think seriously you work it out. One day maybe you are the people who spread this good news. And you will be the people who do some good for this country. See, we need people who feel.